Hello everyone. Today is the 30th of May 2024. I think I got the date and the month correct for a change. It's a rather breezy, cool day considering it's late May, but that's the way the weather is here sometimes in Maryland. Um, my goal today is pretty straightforward. I'm going to raise the right rear wheel off the ground, pull the tire, remove the retaining nuts for the backing plate, the retaining plate for the axle. Then I'm going to utilize my slide hammer here to pop the axle out and take a look at the axle shaft bearing. I'm very suspicious of that bearing. It just all the symptoms I'm hitting or hearing seem to point to that bearing. So I hope that's what it is because it's pretty straightforward to get it fixed, assuming I can find a bearing. That's not going to cost me an arm and a leg. So that's it. I'll show you how I progress. All right, so here I am working at the right rear wheel. Got my wheel chocks on the front wheel. Got a jack stand that's supporting the weight along with the bumper jack. Pull the wheel off, the drum. Had to put the transmission in neutral so I can rotate the axle here. And I thought I could break these nuts loose that hold the retaining plate on there with just a regular ratchet and stuff, but they're way too tight, so I resorted to using my impact gun to do that. So I'm just demonstrating here. I'm loosening. There's 4 of them. Good and tight, as they should be. And there's 4 of them, like I said. And I'll show you what it looks like as I'm putting the shaft puller on there, the axle shaft slide hammer puller. There you can see that I have my slide hammer puller in place. The nice thing about these, very simple. You don't even need to really tighten these more than hand tight. These are all hand tight right now. So we're going to see how easy or how hard it is to yank the shaft out of there. A lot of times, if you've got a really bad bearing, the oil seal will have already been destroyed, and you'll have leakage under here, oil from the rear axle. But I don't see anything like that yet. That doesn't mean the bearing is still good. So I'm going to slide this, and we're going to see how easy this comes out or not. And there we have it. All right. Okay. I can already tell you there's enough movement on that bearing just by, I'll take a close up here. Hang on a second. You can see how well these slide hammers work. There's a little bit of movement back and forth here that definitely should not be there. That bearing should be very tight, no movement at all. So I already know right now that I've got a worn out shaft bearing here. So I am going to just leave the shaft back inside a little bit. I don't need to leave it hanging out quite like this, but I'm going to go inside and see about acquiring a new bearing before I go any further. All right, so I did some shopping online, and my best bet financially was going through Rock Auto. Of course, I have to wait almost a week for my parts to arrive, but I've got the correct bearing, the retaining ring, and both parts are national oil seal and a national bearing. That'll be coming. That was my best price by a significant amount. I could have gotten it probably locally in a day or two at most, but it would have been so much more expensive, and there's just no need to be impatient about this. So what I'm going to do now, since I have a new seal coming, I'm going to go ahead and pop this seal out. I'll just leave the car sitting up on jacks. I can't really drive it anyway with a bad bearing, so I'm hoping that I'll be able to just pop the seal out with this thing. Let's see what happens here. Okay, well, maybe I won't be able to do it while you're watching, but I should be able to get it out. The other thing I may try to do, if you recall, if you watch, sorry about that, got interrupted by a phone call. I was talking about the difficulty I had with trying to drain the oil out of the rear axle because I wanted to change it, but I couldn't get it out through the fill hole because I encountered, the gears inside are blocking any access to get a hose in there. So if I might be able to stick a long hose down the shaft here and reach in there and pull it out. I don't know. I'm going to give it a shot. It'd be nice to be able to change that oil while I'm doing this. So this is actually going to be the first time I've ever actually used one of these tools before. I just wanted to show what the piece looks like here that I'm going to put in here. There's like 3 or 4 different sizes that come with the kit for different size seals. This one looks pretty big, but it fits beautifully. Right there, it's just sitting behind the seal. And all I got to do is hook my slide hammer, screw it in there, and just pop it right out. We'll see how that works. All right, first time using a tool like this to pull a seal out. Let's see how this works. Oh, I guess I'm blocking the camera. I don't want to do that. All right, put this in there. All right, should just be able to pop it right out. Look at that. Wasn't that beautiful? I've never used one of these tools before. It's so nice to have the right tools. If this thing didn't cost almost $200, I'd probably keep it, but knowing I can rent it, I guess I'll just take it back now. But that was super easy. Very nice when you have the right tools. All right, I'm wrapping this up for the day. Didn't really do that much. This is a short update, but I do feel really good about finding that bad bearing. It just kept pointing to that direction, that it had to be a bearing. I don't know what else it could have been, especially since it was isolated to this side of the car in the rear. So I'm going to look forward to having that bearing installed next week when it comes in, and then putting it back on the car. I hope that's it for the noise coming from the back, because I'm just itching to drive this car, take it on some long trips, some road trips and whatnot. What did I do? Oh, I put the door edge guards on the doors just because I can, now that I've got the doors adjusted the way I want them, and there's enough of a gap now between the front and the rear door in the middle there. I just wanted to see if they fit, and they do. I polished them up as best I could, but they're not in the best of condition either. I need a lot of trim for this car. And when it comes closer to doing the body work, I'll start looking for better trim and whatnot. But there I go with that whatnot stuff. Sorry about that. So anyway, brief update, and that's all I got. Have a good evening. Oh, let me show you the door edge guards before I sign off. I know that's not real exciting, but I want to show it to you. What is more significant to me than having the door edge guards on here is just the fact that there's plenty of room for them to be there. On this side, I adjusted that door forward. That was a difficult process, but I got it done. And then when I replaced this rear door on this side, I had to carefully make sure I could get it in there and leave enough of a gap, and I did. In fact, the gap looks even bigger on this side than on the passenger side, which I don't know how that's possible, but it does look bigger, but that's okay. That's it. See ya. Okay, I knew there was something else. I did try to get my drain hose in that rear axle to see if I could withdraw some oil out of the rear end. No go. That's just not going to work. So I'm just not going to worry about it. The thing has plenty of oil in it. It might be old, but the rear end, as far as I know, is in good condition. I'm just not going to worry about it. If I get concerned about it, I'll probably just take it to some shop and see if they can do it for me. That was it. Thanks.